The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? You think national politics are rough? You should try small-town local politics. I hear it's killer, as Amber and Scott discuss Eddington. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
We'll haul out the soapboxes because I know I'm jumping on one of them today.
Okay, well, look forward to you bringing your box. Folks, today we are talking about Eddington. In May of 2020, a standoff between a small-town sheriff and mayor sparks a powder keg as neighbor is pitted against neighbor in Eddington, New Mexico. This film clocks in at 2 hours and 28 minutes.
I was okay with the length. Like, it was mostly a good movie. There were, as you and I were discussing a little bit, there's some issues, but I thought it was mostly a good movie.
Yeah, it's actually set in what our world was like in 2020, where we are in the middle of a pandemic. People are arguing about masks and whether they should have to wear them or not, whether or not the coronavirus is a real thing, and also the very real current event of George Floyd. So you wrap all that into a sleepy little town and a mayoral race with some history with the candidates. And
that's putting it lightly.
You've got Eddington.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew right away, like, if the sheriff's not going to wear his mask, that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a small town, and they're doing what we all had to do in May 2020. They're lining up outside a supermarket, 6 feet apart, being allowed in a handful at a time to do their marketing. And someone wants to push their way in who doesn't have a mask, and the sheriff who doesn't have a mask basically says, you let him in. And yeah, it was all very reminiscent of the conflicts that many of us experienced during the early days of the pandemic.
Yeah, and it's a problem when you have the authority on the wrong side of that.
Yeah, because there were, at that point, it wasn't should we do this? It was where there were mandates and
there was
declarations from government officials to do this.
Yeah, before any of the conspiracy theories about vaccines.
Right.
Well before that.
Right.
We were like, masks. And I've just always been the one who's going to err on the side of caution. Yeah,
we didn't know anything there. I mean, I remember ordering groceries from Costco and wiping down every box like a lot of people did.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you don't know what you don't know, and it's better to be safe than sorry and end up on a concrete slab or worse yet, in a bag in a parking lot with hundreds or thousands of other dead bodies.
Yeah.
Which happened.
Let me also say one other thing where I think it fell apart a little bit. And again, boys and girls, spoilers, always spoilers. And we jump around the movie. I'm going to jump right to the end. The sheriff's dead. There's no way he's not dead.
Okay, so he got stabbed in the head. We think he's dead, and then later we see him in a
That's not even it.
Wheelchair. Okay.
That's not even it.
Okay.
He's an asthmatic who in May of, or I guess at this point it was June, because the Floyd thing was in June. In June 2020,
who caught
coronavirus.
Yeah.
He's dead. Like, forget the stab wound. The Rona's going to get him. Though I will say, if you've got the Rona and the asthma.
The Rona and the Ma.
Yeah. And you're running that much?
Yeah.
Like.
Oh, he was breathing heavy.
I don't have asthma or the Rona.
And you'd be huffing and puffing. Yeah.
I'd be huffing and puffing after like a tenth of that.
Okay, so jumping into some what would you do? So
I'm also overweight.
We have a mayor who is running for re-election who seems to have a backstory with the sheriff's now wife, where there was some sort of something where she said long time ago she was pregnant, and the mayor, who was not the mayor at the time, just said, I didn't touch you, lady. I don't know what you're talking about. So there's some sort of personal history there between the sheriff's wife and the mayor who is running for re-election. And after the altercation at the market with the masks and the shopping and whatnot, the sheriff gets fed up and he decides he's going to run for mayor. So he does this without talking to his wife. So, which leads us to our first, what would you do? Would you run for a city office against a guy that you have this deep personal history with without talking to your wife first?
No.
Okay, next.
Next. Absolutely not.
That is riddled with landmines, isn't it?
Yes. More so than even one of the last scenes.
So one of the scenes later on is that the sheriff in one of his live videos says, yeah, the mayor, I pretty much raped my wife back then. And
do we know what the age difference was?
We don't know.
See, that's the thing. I'm kind of wondering, like just because she's 16, if he's 16,
yeah,
then it's not statutory.
Yeah, but it can still be rape.
Well,
if
yes,
you have two young people.
but I don't believe. Listen, if it were actual rape, like he's not going to say statutory. He's going to say rape because you put the statutory as the quotes around rape.
Right.
The you weren't old enough to consent.
Yeah. It puts the child molester moniker on that person. So he puts all this out, and I don't know. He gets home, and his wife is upset.
I think that is putting it lightly.
Yeah. What would you do? Would you out all of that dirty laundry on social media?
Well,
without authorization.
She already clearly has some form of a mental disorder.
Yeah.
Because she needs to keep calm.
And it's alluded that perhaps maybe her sheriff dad maybe did something there. We kind of, it's not really put out there very clearly, but it's kind of alluded to at one point. So yeah, there's definitely some sort of sexual abuse history or trauma or something in this woman's backstory.
Yeah. So,
and we have her mom.
She's Looney Tunes.
Who is feeding into the narrative of the mayor did this to my daughter. The mayor did this to my daughter. But it also kind of feels like maybe she's covering up for her husband, who was the woman's dad. Anyway, so
yeah, there's a lot of alluding. There were a lot of things left open.
Yeah, there was a lot open to interpretation. So in this small, sleepy little town, which you would think is mostly untouched by the world events, what's happening at least in the rest of the country.
This has got to be like 2,000, 2,500 people, something like that. Or did we actually saw the population sign on the way in, didn't we?
We saw a sign that said entering Edmonton. I don't recall if there was a population sign. Would make sense if there was, though, for sure. So in the midst of this pandemic, we have a whole bunch of young adults, old teenagers, teenagers and up. But
2,634.
Thank you very much. So who are now protesting, as we saw protests happen across America when the incident with George Floyd happened. So they are in this little town that looks mostly just shut down. It is a shell of a town.
This is one of those
dusty tumbleweed kind of like there is no life in this town.
This town is one of those places that there's a ribbon cutting if they get a stoplight.
Yeah. And so all of these kids are holding up signs, they're blocking the street, and they are protesting and talking about racial inequality and white privilege and police brutality. And the sheriff and his two deputies, one of which is an African American, don't know what to do with this. They're like, oh, and all of this is happening amidst a culture, a time period where everyone has their phone out. Everyone's filming everything. Everything can be documented and doctored. Yeah, I was going to say, and misrepresented. And so they're trying to control these protesters while also being aware that all of these kids have their phones out. Everything could be captured and that they could get in trouble.
Yeah, this leads to a what would you do for me here.
Okay.
And what would I do if I've got a bunch of protesters and amongst them there's the mayor's son who is talking about my, quote, whore wife.
Oh, the mayor's son was a little punk, and I was glad to see him die.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. He had a lot more restraint than I might have at that point.
The sheriff?
Yeah, I think the best case scenario, if I'm the sheriff, the best case scenario for that kid is he's getting like arrested for whatever the hell I can come up with on the spot.
Well, and I think that the mayor's kid is a cocky SOB, and I think he's partially that because he knows the complicated dynamics with his family and the sheriff's family, and to think if the sheriff ever did anything to him, he could just cry out, bias, prejudice, like something that negated the legitimacy of anything because of the history between their families.
Yeah, and if you're the sheriff, you know that. So I just don't give a hell. And wow, am I censoring myself? Give a hell. I don't know. I like I said, if I'm showing restraint, I'm arresting the kid. If nothing else, just to yes, he'll get out. Whatever. You just do it to screw with him.
Okay, so what would you do? Is you throw that punk kid in a jail cell?
No, I would probably knock him out.
Well, I don't know if that's going to be
if I don't shoot him.
Well, yeah, but then all the other kids are going to have video of that. I don't think that's going to help you much.
I don't know.
That seems very impulsive.
Let's just put it this way: once you've done that, and I'm the sheriff,
once you've called his wife a whore,
yeah, you're probably marked for death.
Well,
I mean, because I know. This goes back, story here, 24 years ago or something like that. I was 20, 24, 25, 26, somewhere in that range, where this one guy in our community who was just a complete and total asshole, he decided to, online, he was spouting off extremely negative things about my wife. He doesn't know my wife. He just knows it'll rile me up.
Okay.
And mind you, this wasn't even personal. His thing was he riled up everyone. He's literally the one person I said, if this person ever dies, I will throw a party. I mean, there's two now. But he actually did die, and I did actually kind of throw a little party.
Okay.
Yeah, I celebrated his death online.
Okay, this got dark real fast.
Yeah, he said stuff, and the next time I saw him at a real life event, I went up to him real close, didn't say anything. I basically kind of got into his ear, and I said, if you ever talk about my wife again, I will fucking shoot you. And I made a gesture with my hand.
Wow, you're scary.
You know what? If you screw with my wife, I'm very scary.
You're scary.
I'm very scary. That's the one thing you can't do with me. You cannot screw with my significant other. You can screw with me. You cannot screw.
Words don't hurt people.
I do.
Okay.
I do. No,
yeah,
I mean,
I'm not a turn the other cheek person, but I also know that words are words and threats are different than words.
I know that, but let me tell you, already with the thing with him and the mayor, and that being his mayor's son, I don't know. I'm looking for an excuse to shoot that kid dead. Maybe not right then and there, but next time I can possibly put him into a situation that looks like it could be threatening. Bang, bang.
Okay, I think our subscriber count I can see it going down. Down.
Well, I need to go up more first.
You're scary.
No,
okay.
Again, you can say what you want about me. I don't care. I'm thick-skinned. I just don't like people screwing with my significant other.
Okay, so back to the film. We have law enforcement, and again, one of the deputies is a black man, who are trying to keep order in a world where there are camera phones and live streaming, and in a town that likely never had a protest ever. What? And this is actually something that extends beyond the movie. Like living in a world where everything you say, anything you do can be captured. And because one of the things that happened in the film is the sheriff had this physical altercation with this homeless person. And it was at the directive of the mayor to get this situation under control. But then people filmed it, they posted it and said that the sheriff was, beating up homeless people. So taken out of context, anything can ruin you.
And also, when it comes to the protests in the IRL thing, I'm calling bullshit.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Alrighty.
I think when those kids talked about going to Santa Fe and protesting there, I think for the most part, if you're in a town of 2,600 people and you want to protest, that's what you're doing. You're going to Santa Fe. Because that one store had its window knocked out. This is a town of 2,634 people. Everyone knows each other. Like those things that you say during a protest, that brick you throw through a window while there's a million camera phones out, that's easily figured out. Like riding in LA, you've just got a whole mass of people and you don't know anyone from anyone. And
yeah, but even in that, the shop owner was just saying, my window got knocked out, but he didn't say Jimmy knocked out my window. They didn't know who it was. I mean, let's face it. We're, as human beings, mostly going to start with the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance was turning out on Main Street in this little town and having your signs and enlightening what I believe that they thought of as privileged old white people.
It's too hyper local. Like something like that's too local to really, like, because who are you really protesting at that point? Like you're not going to get seen by enough people. Like you're going to.
Well, they were protesting. Well, a lot of it was police. And then also the one deputy who was black and being like, why are you on that side? Yeah, you should be protesting with us.
There's like no police though. Like they almost don't exist. Well, like they stood up, like they're like, what can we do? There's several dozen of them and there's 3 of us. There's nothing you can do. I think they would go to larger cities because you're going to ruin your own little town. Go ruin another town. At least go someplace you can loot and
right advice
not be
from
known.
Scott Gerhardt. So some other what would you do here's are we have his wife who ultimately goes off with someone who is somewhat cult leader-ish.
Ish? There's no ish there.
Who shares his own personal childhood story that was somehow brought out through some therapeutic process, and I'm using air quotes here, that reminded him that as a child, his father sold him into some sort of sex ring, and they were released, and everyone was hunted, and he managed to escape.
Yeah,
and now
that's a fake memory.
And he's created this movement around people who have some sort of sexually based trauma.
There's a term for it. I don't know what the term is, but it's when through you actually create false memories.
Oh, it's suggestion. I mean, suggestion is a very real thing. Even in any situation that's not hypnotic or therapeutic or anything like that. I mean, it's how many politicians and evil world leaders have gotten the populace to do things. As you repeat something enough, and people believe it. And the same thing, that same level of suggestion with
like stolen elections and
stuff. So, what would you do?
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
What would you do if your wife started showing an interest in attending the events of someone kind of culty?
Wow. And the problem was he had so much of his own shit going on at that moment.
Yeah.
That, like, he was not in any mental state to deal with that.
Well, he had just announced his candidacy for mayor without talking to his wife. His wife was pretty upset.
Which he told his wife, I won't do it if you don't want me to. But he seemed like in that small period of time to double down his efforts.
Double down his efforts?
For campaigning.
Oh yeah, I mean they were having a conversation in the morning. I'm sorry, let's talk about it at dinner. He went out, did his job, and also campaigned, and then came back and made a dinner. And after more than an hour and a half, she finally shows up with the cult leader and some other people who have some childhood trauma that they have unearthed. And you can see the writing on the wall that she has connected with this guy. At that point, what do you do if you're the husband?
I mean, that doesn't usually end well.
No.
I mean, if I'm the husband in my relationship, I'm giving up anything and everything from a political standpoint at that point, like immediately on the spot, and I've got to focus on keeping my house in order.
Yeah.
Like,
because she seemed kind of a little messed up before, but it was the whole, hey, you decided to run for mayor and didn't talk to me thing that made it worse. Because prior to that, we see the sheriff trying to keep his distance from the mayor. Like there's some sort of issue with the mayor is called into the police, and the sheriff, instead of just saying, I'm on it, I got it, he was like, where is it? Is this house? Is it business? So like there's some sort of apprehension early on. So you certainly get the impression that there was some distance or some line there trying to be adhered to by the sheriff. But once he throws in his candidacy, then
if you've got somebody who's dealing with major trauma issues, let me tell you, inviting politics into your house is about the worst thing you can do.
And I guess my last what would you do is, what would you do? This was kind of shocking. So the mayor is having a fundraising party at his house, and a noise complaint is legitimately called in. Nothing fishy about it. And so the sheriff was like, okay, I'm going to go to the mayor's house and deal with this noise complaint. And they squabble about the music, which basically the squabble is based in Katy Perry and her being a firework. And Joe, what did I?
The sheriff?
Yeah, Joe the sheriff. Sorry, I had a senior moment there. Turns down the music. The mayor turns it up. Joe turns it down, walks away, and then he's almost off the property, and the mayor turns the music back up. Joe comes back, turns it down. The mayor slaps the sheriff.
Not once.
Twice. If you were the mayor, would you slap the frickin' sheriff? That was shocking.
No, the only shocking thing is that the sheriff didn't haul out his gun and shoot him right then. But apparently he knew he was going to.
Yeah, no, he walked away, and you kept expecting something to happen, and it didn't.
Well, I mean, he went to the bar where the homeless guy. Like,
oh yeah,
like I've always said in an argument, if I'm loud and I'm arguing loud, you're mostly fine. But if we've had a really loud, boisterous argument, and then I just get silent, just completely silent, that's concerning, because that's when I have hit the point that I am about to explode. And it won't take much to put me over, just like it didn't take Joe much to go to the bar and put 3 bullets into the homeless guy.
Yeah, the homeless guy who had broken into the bar again and was...
I mean, that had to be a set. I mean, he had to be doing it to set up the mayor. Because it was the mayor's bar.
And that was something that, a storyline that didn't really get finished.
Yeah, it was the mayor's bar.
It was the mayor's bar, but he wrapped up the homeless guy in a bag and put him in a river to kind of float down, and that was it. So that storyline didn't get tied up.
Like I said, a
lot of them didn't.
A lot of loose ends on this one.
Yeah. Last thoughts?
Yeah, my last thoughts is I'm never, ever, ever going to vote for a politician for any office that goes and gets graphics done for their car and writes "you're a virus" on there, or I think it was virus or "you're a something." He was doing something.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. You're combining two of the slogans.
Or "you're the virus" or whatever. He meant to write YOU''RE, and he wrote YOUR. You've lost my vote at YOUR.
Yeah, I would say the same. And I kind of appreciated that someone who made this movie did that, because it told you a lot about that character.
Oh, Yeah, I mean, that character, listen, like, you kind of feel like you have to root for him near the end, but it wasn't until the end, because I was like, whatever happens to this guy, perfectly fine with me. This guy is a piece of shit.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.